Chief Edozie Njoku to address the press.
Please welcome. It is very, very sad that in Nigeria in 2022, we can be conveying such a press conference for such a trivial affair. In 2021, some members of APGA took me to court in Jigawa State, because I'm going to cut it down to be as short as possible. Took me to court in Jigawa State. And at Jigawa State, they suspended me as national chairman of APGA. Everyone knows when I mentioned 2019 that it has to do with the elections of Anambra State. On my removal by the lower court, instantly INEC recognized the fellow, Jude Okeke, who had approached the court as my deputy national south. And he was taken in INEC as the acting national chairman pending the end of my suspension. The case went up to the Court of Appeal, from the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court, where the same judgment that was given at the Court of Appeal was given at the Supreme Court, which was that the case of my illegal suspension was dismissed. And there was a unanimous judgment where two specific judges, Salowa and Lawal, made two very important points clear. One was that the mischief by these politicians in removing the national chairman, Chief Edozie Njoku, should not be left like that, that it must revert back to the status quo, which is before the point of my removal. And secondly, the judge, Lawal, said that every action took place in Owerri. Every person necessary for the convention of APGA was in Owerri on that 1931st. We all know that Chief Victor Oye was never in Owerri. He was in Awka. I don't want to go about those areas about what happened in Awka and all that. We are at the end and the crisis is over. But the shocking thing, and I was also very shocked with the press, because the press did not react fully. How can someone who is not from the Supreme Court, who is the man that has been defeated by me, rush to the police and make a complaint that I forged Supreme Court judgment? 1 month passed, 2 months passed, 3 months passed, 4 months passed, 5 months, and I'm still sitting down making this same press conference that I forged Supreme Court judgment, that I did this, I did that. They went on to AIT to say that it's incredible how this can be allowed to happen. They went on Arise, called me all sorts of names, which they are going to answer to in court. But the funny thing was that the press in Nigeria, I don't know why nobody goes to Supreme Court to get a CTC themselves and say, this is the position of the truth. How could I have suddenly woken up from my sleep and gone and quoted and said that my name, I'm now the person? But luckily, and as I said 3 years ago, not 4 years, 3 years ago, that this case will come to an end, but drip, drip, drip. The hand of democracy and justice, it winds very slowly, but it surely comes to pass. The one thing we lack in Nigeria is patience. But lo and behold, my brothers, I'm full of patience. As long as I know that what I'm doing is right, that we're on the side of the law, we will gradually, and we have gradually grinded to the final bus stop. I'm sure that everyone here has seen this letter, which came out yesterday. Because when this thing was heated up, all kinds of police coming from left, right, and center, and we said, no, the Supreme Court owes Nigerians the duty of telling them the truth. I wrote a letter to the CJN. I wrote a letter to the 5 judges. And it was mandated the presiding judge, who has now retired, but she is the one who has to come out and make a statement. And she has made a categorical statement. She said the first paragraph in her letter says, I indeed recall your letter dated 6th of May to me as the presiding justice of the panel and other 4 justices, which requested for correction of 14th of October 2021 Supreme Court judgment, wherein the name of Chief Victor Ikoye was erroneously inserted instead of the name of Chief Edozie Njoku. It is to be placed on record, fact, she says, it is to be placed on record that I corrected the mistake by replacing Chief Victor Oye's name with that of Chief Edozie Njoku on paragraph 1, page 13 of the 14th of October judgment. The reason why, she went further to say, the correction was made having cognizance that on the day of delivery of the judgment, being 14th of October 2021, by a slip of pen and tongue, the name of Chief Victor Ikoye was brought in. This error, a lot of people have been saying, how could I write to the Supreme Court judge and they change? He said this error was pointed out to me by other members of my panel who reminded me that Chief Victor Oye was not a party to this case. Even from the beginning of the case, he was never a party. He was not national chairman who was removed. Was not a party to the appeal or a proceeding which emanated from Jigawa High Court. However, in the course of the trajectory of errors, and I love the word she used, there has been a trajectory of errors. First of all, in the lower court, they went behind my back and filed a case against me. I ran to Jigawa. They decided not to join me. But in the judgment, they said I ought to have been joined. I ran to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, no, we are not joining anybody. This case ought not to have been heard. We are going to dismiss that case at the lower court, and you take over your national chairman. Instead of my name to be put back there to take over my national chairman, in error, they put Victor Ikoye's name in. Incredible. So she says it is a cause of trajectory of errors. The name of Chief Victor Oye kept reoccurring in the record of the judgment instead of the right party to the proceeding, Chief Edozie Njoku. It is to be noted that the 1st of September 2022 press statement, this is the press statement that I'm sure that most of you were attended. It said to be noted that the 1st of September 2022 press statement released by Dr. Festus Akande, Director of Media, Press and Information of the Supreme Court, which denied, because, as you remember, he denied all the CTCs of the amended judgments. Instead, issued to Chief Edozie Njoku, clearly, and she used the right word, clearly stemmed from the misconception of the true position. All those things that were read that day, the only truth which he could not alter that he told was that everything emanated from Owerri, and Oye did not come from Owerri. So the question is, which judgment did INEC use to put in Oye? But I don't blame INEC very much, because what turned the minds of INEC, as they keep saying, was a letter from the Chief Registrar of the Supreme Court saying, and Festus Akande's press conference, saying that they should disregard my CTCs. Luckily, through the grace of God, the Supreme Court has come up and rectified that error. They went further to say, by this clarification, it is to be noted that Chief Victor Oye was not a party to the proceedings, and the proper party for whom the judgment and the orders referred is Chief Edozie Njoku. This is the presiding judge of the Supreme Court, just retired. I am sure that this must be the first time that a Supreme Court judge retired has found it necessary to come out and tell the truth. because of all the complications, political maneuvers that have been made to suppress a judgment of the Supreme Court. There is no way it has not been suppressed. But the magic question, which has always been, INEC, you recognized the removal of Chief Edozie Njoku at the lower court, affirming the Convention of Owerri by recognizing his deputy. Why on earth are you not recognizing Edozie Njoku when the Supreme Court has spoken? But I don't blame them, because of the total misrepresentation of the fact by members, not of the judges. The judges have come out in flying colors. By members who have been thwarted by politicians to come out and make statements where they are not meant to make statements. Can anybody interpret the judgment of a Supreme Court? No. It is only those judges who made the judgment can interpret their judgment. He went to say, by this clarification, it is noted that Chief Victor was not a party to the proceedings, and the proper party for whom the judgment and others referred is my humble self, Chief Edozie Njoku. To further buttress the point, I would hereunder restate the parties to the appeal and the judgment of the 14th of October, and all the parties have been put down clearly. He now went further to say, I know for a fact. She did not say I was guessing. That is the presiding judge. Says, I know for a fact that my elsewhere colleagues and members of the panel of justices, where she lists all the 4 members, would confirm all that I have stated. I hope the situation is clarified and this matter put to a final rest. Members of the press, it is sad that we are here today when we know that the elections in the next few months that are going to take place in this country in 2023. We are still sitting down here talking about Supreme Court judgment that has been corrected since May. I am begging everybody involved in this, particularly Chief Victor Ike-Oye, to put down his sword, that the game is up. I beg the governor of Anambra State to rise to the occasion, because if we do not collectively rise to the occasion, we are going to have serious problems, starting from his own elections in his House of Assembly, Federal House and Senate, of his own state. But that ripples are going to affect all our other candidates in APGA in the state. I say to the lead today, by virtue of being the governor of Anambra State, I don't know whether he likes being called the chief, but I'll call him Chief. Charles Soludo should rise to the occasion and let this crisis in APGA be buried once and for all, and let's move forward. Nobody is chasing your seat. If you genuinely in your mind know and believe that you are an APGA man and that you are an APGA leader and you are in the interest of APGA and no other political party, come forward. Let us put this party in the right direction. A Supreme Court judgment can never, ever be shoved aside unless we want to play with the elections of 2023. If we take that risk, we are going to jeopardize these elections because there is going to be an unlawful exclusion. Nobody should be afraid. At least 70 to 73% of all those who got their tickets under the former leadership of 2019 are still the ones who have their tickets this side. All it needs is for those other few ones to sit down. Let us cross the T's and dot the I's, because we are all APGA. Let us not be deceived, because I saw a press release by the former, or else, I don't know, the former publicity secretary under Oye, saying that I've gone again to forge Mary Odili's letter. Can you believe that? We have not finished talking about the one of the forgery of the 9th of May. We have gone into the forgery of 7th of November. You must slam that down and say, that is ridiculous. Chief Edozie Njoku has dared anybody who can come and arrest me for forgery because I did not forge any document. I have dared anybody because I did not. And the Supreme Court has come out to say it is not a forgery. So what is our problem? Nigerians, rise to the occasion and don't allow some people who are just there playing shenanigans to be able to fool our minds and fool our heads. Today is not a day for us to keep drumming on about APGA, because APGA should now be talking to the people in the wards, in the local governments about elections. We should now say, oh yeah, you've run a good race. Hang up your boots, please. Thank you very much. Please, APGA has done is also clarified INEC, and they will go ahead and do the needful. They are now totally clear. There is no ambiguity about the judgment of the 9th of September. It is abundantly clear, and there's no forgery, there's no fake. So everybody's eyes are clear now.
Good afternoon. My name is Louis.
Answer that question. The only reason and the only how they were able to cause this last confusion was because the judges were on holiday. And the politicians took advantage of the absence of the judges and convinced some staff of the Supreme Court to take responsibility and try to interpret the Supreme Court judgment. You know that politicians can be very overbearing in different ways. I think that is about the last bus stop, because now it has come out clear. It's the whole thing is clear. And this clarification has been, if you read it, you will know that there's no ambiguity on it. It is clear. It is so clear. Every area of ambiguity has been cleared on it. Thank you. Your question, because it has been clarified that Oye is not the national chairman of APGA. So you're telling me whether I'll support his candidates or not. I leave it to everyone who is here to decide for themselves. Any other question? On calling INEC. There is a procedure in which judgments are sent to INEC. It's not by a retired judge to write to INEC. So that procedure will be followed. So what are you?
Any other questions?